Good day, dear listeners and viewers, and welcome to another bilingual edition of the Press Review on Cameroon Radio and the television. Happy New Week to everyone out there too who is also watching us live here from Limbe. We are broadcasting in our studios right here in the southwest region. First, our major stories: the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, has embarked on a new trail of dismantling the network of opposition fraudsters. And the 3 days running on already, the scramble for votes has begun across the national territory with campaign launches from the ruling CPDM party, the SDF party, amongst others. À la une des journaux francophones, la fabrique des faux résultats démantelés par le ministère de l'administration territoriale, on en parle, et l'offre économique des candidats à l'élection présidentielle est au scanner. Qu'est-ce que proposent les candidats? On en parle aujourd'hui sur cette revue de presse. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to this bilingual edition of the Press Review. I am a Comrade Charles Abane, always at the service of the community. We immediately start this session today with the Guardian Post paper, which is also out on the stands and in the kiosk as we speak. The Guardian Post titles today, October 12 polls, Minat boss says dismantles network of opposition fraudsters, which is one of the major stories on almost all networks today in Cameroon. Now, the reviews, those arrested have confessed being hired and given smartphones with mission to publish falsified results as from 6 p.m. on October 12, 2025, according to the boss from the Minister of Territorial Administration, that's the boss Paula Tanganji, who's been showcased today on the center page of the Guardian Post paper, where he says he has to dismantle all networks of opposition fraudsters within the context of the presidential elections, which comes up on October 12, 2025. And still on the Guardian Post paper, we have October 12 polls, new CPDM guarantees Bia landslide, the Northwest CPDM guarantee Bia's landslide victory, according to the Guardian Post. While Professor Julius Ngo endorses Issa Chiroma Bakari, renowned historian and university don Professor Julius Victor Ngo has waded into the political arena under Issa Chiroma Bakari, candidate for Cameroon National Salvation and Front FSNC. At the October 12 presidential elections, Professor Ngo's endorsement is contained in the statement he issued dated September 28, 2025. After endorsing Chiroma, Professor Ngo called on citizens to form what he christened Voters Coalition and lead Issa Chiroma, the People's Choice, to victory, according to page 3 of the Guardian Post paper, which is out on the stands as we speak, where Professor Victor Ngo is actually endorsing Issa Chiroma Bakari from the FSNC party, as the Guardian Post tells us today on page 3 of its publication. Now we'll talk something completely different. A launch of campaign in Boya, John Bute outlines blueprints for Bia's landslide victory in the southwest region. Now the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Dr. Chief Joseph John Gute, has delivered to his chief and king across the southwest region strategies to ensure the population massively votes for President Paul Biya come October 12, 2025. John Gute delivered the guidelines in Boya last Saturday, September 27th. This was during a rally to launch companies and campaigns for the CPDM candidate Paul Biya across the southwest region. As guest of honor at the event, the Prime Minister told the people why President Biya remains the best choice, insisting that opposition candidates in the race are merely making noise with nothing to offer. That is what the Guardian Post has in store today on page 5 of its publication. Now, still on page 12 right now, we have as Douala Port fests 150 years, the Prime Minister salutes legacy, resilience, and an ambitious future. Now, race to the Unity Palace, candidates like Akere Ateki throw weight behind Beruba Maigari, according to the Guardian Post. The presidential candidate of the National Union for Democracy and Progress, UNDP, Beruba Maigari, has gotten 2 major endorsements from other opposition candidates in the race to the October 12 polls. As we can see here on the Guardian Post paper, Akere Muna and Ateki throw weight behind Bello, as Guardian Post reports today in its entirety. And that is what the Guardian Post has in store today for us on its publication. Now we have the Median up next. The Median reports today and says October presidential elections. Boni Dashako says why he strongly supports Paul Biya. during these elections. Bonita Shako, also another media guru, he says a great support Boya-born dollar-based media mogul and a billionaire venture capitalist of continental renown. Bonita Shako has maintained that President Paul Biya is by any way and in every way the best bet for Cameroon and the Cameroonians as they brace up to elect a new president of the republic on October 12th. That is what the Median reports today. Still on the Median, October presidential polls, Isaac Shiruma might be the devil to save Cameroon. Professor Victor Julius Ngo is the one who is saying all of this today as the Median reports in its entirety. Now, still on the Median paper, we have a story that says at campaign rally in Boya, John Kute trumpets on conditional plebiscite for Biya as the Prime Minister head of government. Joseph John Kute was the drum major at the CPG Empower's regional campaign launch in Boya on the Saturday, 27th September. Now, campaign fever grips Bamenda. SDF shouts power change as CPDM advocates continuity, stability with Biya. Militants of opposition SDF, just like their counterparts of the ruling CPDM, defied separatist threats and came out in their great numbers on Saturday, 27th September for the launch of their respective campaigns for the 12th October presidential election. You can read all of this today on pages 3 of the Median paper, which is out there on the stands as we speak. Now, the Median also has a sports column today where they say La Liga sensation Carl Eta Eyong ignored by Mark Breeze. Shortlist for players of the month with 4 goals and 4 games in the Spanish La Liga. Carl Eta Eyong, 21, is yet to be called up to the Indomitable Lions. Then, as the media reports today on this particular story. Now, we have something completely different today on the Cameroon Insider, which is also out there. The Cameroon Insider, which changes the narrative a bit and says October 12th election, scramble for votes begins in earnest. That's Cameroon Insider today for you, which is out there on the stands. Now, the official lobby for voters ahead of the next month's presidential election is entering its 3rd day today, Monday, September 29th, as candidates have been holding public meetings to woo potential voters. Since Saturday, September 27th, they've been campaign launch events by the ruling CPDM, People's Democratic Movement CPDM, Social Democratic Front SDF, Univer Party, the Cameroon Democrats Front FDC, the Cameroon Democratic Union CDU, and the United People for Social Renovation PUs. Just to mention these few, Northwest CPDM Regional Campaign Committee head Philemon Yang launched campaign activities in Bamenda. You can read all of these stories on pages 4, 5, 6, and 7 respectively of the Cameroon Insider. Now, Cameroon Insider also capitalizes on the other story where they say Paul Biya urges renewed action for global peace. The head of state made the call in an address at the United Nations last Thursday, presented on his behalf by External Relations Minister Lejeune Bella Bella at the current session of its General Assembly in New York, that is the United States of America. So you can actually read today on pages 3 of the 2 of Cameroon Insider. Still on Cameroon Insider, Douala Bonaberi Port of 150 years of history and growth. Prime Minister Joseph John Kute launched commemorative activities of the landmark event at the port area on September 26th. Another must-read story on page 3 of the Cameroon Insider, which reports this particular story today in its entirety. Now, we have the Herald Tribune. The Herald Tribune is up next for review. The Herald Tribune says in an interview granted to Tum Kwifon Chair Lindorf, who says his support for President Biya CPDM party is unconditional, as you can read this particular story today on pages 6 and 7, in an exclusive interview which the Herald Tribune granted to Tum Kwifon Chair Lindorf, who says his support for President Paul Biya is unconditional. The content of the story is on pages 6 and 7 of the Herald Tribune. Now, why Edison found this personality of the week in the Guardian Post making waves? Now, the beauty of the much cherished and highly valued people's column, personality of the week, in the Guardian Post, best edited, best-selling, and most authoritative newspaper in the economic community of Central Africa, LECAS, is that it gives its millions of readers the chance to mirror the peak of individual engagements to the World Weekly. It has remained a celebrated and golden imprint of why the Guardian Post is operating in a different realm when it comes to journalism that upholds standards, powers, development, and inspires. This has remained enticing, given that through the column, the media organ restrains its editorial umpire for readers to always have their way. You can continue this particular story today on pages 2 of the Herald Tribune, which is out there on the stands as we speak. Now, Cameroon begins producing own military wares. Another story could read today on page 3. And also presidential news, Northwest CPDM and SDF launch campaigns at birthplace. A story could read today on pages 5, 7, and 8. 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the Herald Tribune. Now, Limbe chiefs backs Nara rehabilitation as a process to integrate local firms and manpower, and also PM charms Tico population spearheads grassroots campaigns for beer in the southwest region. These are some of the stories which the Herald Tribune has in store today for us. While Jim Jacob, presidential candidate that never was, another story you could read on page 9 of the Herald Tribune. Now we have municipal updates which focuses today and says at campaign launch in Tico, Minister Naloba Lionga fires up Fako to plebiscite Bia. Another story included on page 2 of the municipal updates. Now, Kobak pushes for stronger internal controls of credit unions. Adwala Wali Akere Ateki swell support for Beluba. Symposium to mark 25th anniversary Rural Electrification Agency counts achievements. Another story included on page 3 of the municipal updates, which is out there on the stands as we speak. Now, still on the municipal updates, Minister supports civil society campaigns against social media misuse. And in Douala, MCNC flag bearer Buga Hagbe rules population in the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala. A story you could read today on page 2 of the municipal updates. We have the Sun up next for review. The Sun, which capitalizes today and says campaign kicks off without beer. October 12 presidential polls on the Sun. President expected back home anytime soon as Marwa awaits. Surrogates holding brief for the candidate president. PM John Gute re-electing Bia is only way for the Southwest to safeguard its privileges. These are some of the strong points on the Sun paper. While young Bia's experience is the difference. That's Philemon Young talking there. While Joshua Osi's fearless walks red zones to swallow SDF vision with surging crowds in Bamenda, Konye, Kumba, and campaign trailheads to Mungu and the West region. While Akere Ateki joined forces with Bello Buba Maigari, a story included on pages 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the Sun paper, which is out on the stands as we speak. Still on the Sun, Minta population thanks Bia couple for CSPH's pilots petrol station in locality. And reflections on multi-party democracy in Cameroon's 2025 elections, Dr. Peter N. Bile voices out his opinion on this particular subject matter. Now, these are some of the stories you could read today on the Sun paper. The Sun paper also has this other interesting story where they say Limbe Paramount Chief donates doctor's block to Bota District Hospital. Another story you could read today on page 10 of the Sun. Why Bafo Paramount ruler urges new quarter heads to assist in peace building. You can read all of these stories today on the Sun paper, which is out there. We have Lashaking Info, which is also another paper which we don't review here very often, but today is on our agenda. Lashaking Info reports today and says October 12 presidential elections, OC, Libby, and Kamto betray opposition coalition handing Bia victory. According to Lashaking Info, Maurice Kamto, Cameroonians should vote for who they choose according to Professor Maurice Kamto. According to OC, on Infos road to Etudi, I can't run with certain people. Cabral Libby are moving on, according to what Lashaking Info says. Cabral Libby says is moving on. Chiruma versus Buba coalition drama in the north by asking voters to support who they choose to. Kamto openly declares support for Bia. Golden Zama, former Limbe SDF district chairman, who also talks about this particular story too. And division, the CPDM's greatest asset is the division public backflash, ego over country, the risk of alienating voters, a historic chance squandered, according to Lashaking Info, in regards to the October 12 presidential elections. Now, cooking in crisis, families struggle with soaring tomato costs, as another story included on page 2, as the price of tomato continues to hike, according to the Lashaking Info, which is out there today. Now, Northwest CPDM heavyweights launch campaign in Bamenda and pledge 100% victory for Paul Biya. The presidential campaign of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement CPDM took off with a fanfare in Bamenda on Saturday, 27th September 2025, as militants from across the Northwest region rallied behind their national chairman and presidential candidate, President Paul Biya, assuring him of a 100% victory. Come October 12, the gathering at the party house in Bamenda was marked by powerful declarations of loyalty, underscoring Bia's long-standing role in fostering development, peace, and stability in the regions. You can read all of this today on page 5 of Lashaking Info. Why cavities Fala knocks Fali people off the top and claims Cameroon's #1 spot, that is in music. You can read everything you need to know about cavities exploits recently on the billboard and charts of that nature. Now, we have other stories today on today we are going to also look at today on Cameroon Tribune, which is also out there. Cameroon Tribune is out there, and Cameroon key titre exclusif. Paul Biya parle dans un interview accordé à Cameroon Tribune. Le président de la République reprécise sa pensée politique contenue dans son livre programme pour le libéralisme communautaire. Une nouvelle édition revue et refondue de l'essai paru en 1987 a récemment été publié. Le choc de l'État s'explique sur la page 2 et 3 du Cameroon Tribune. Il y a aussi ça en anglais. You can see President Paul Biya speaks out. You can see all of this on pages 2 and 3 of the Cameroon Tribune. Now we have the InfoMatin, which is also out. The InfoMatin, which talks dans la fabrique des faux résultats démantelés par le MINAT. Au cours d'une conférence de presse ce 26 septembre à Yaoundé, le ministre de l'administration territoriale a fait savoir que cette plateforme dédiée exclusivement au recensement frauduleux des bulletins de vote est pilotée par certains politiciens véreux de l'opposition. Pour l'attendant, je promets que les auteurs de cette manœuvre illégale répondront de leurs actes devant la justice, selon la page 4 de l'InfoMatin. L'Indépendant titre aujourd'hui chantier naval et industriel. Le secrétaire général de la présidence, Ferdinand Gongo, instruit la Société nationale d'investissement SNI de soumettre à la très haute sanction du chef de l'État une étude diagnostique assortie d'un plan, d'un chronogramme et d'une structuration financière adaptée pour la réhabilitation du chantier naval et industriel du Cameroun SA. Révélation sur le rapport du ministre des Transports qui accable la gestion foireuse et occulte du DG de cette entreprise publique, Roland Maxime Aka Andy, selon le journal L'Indépendant, qui titre chantier naval et industriel, 18 mois d'arriérés de salaire, selon L'Indépendant. Présidentiel, l'appel des sages du Grand Nord, c'est à voir aujourd'hui sur L'Indépendant, sur la page 4 de L'Indépendant, et aussi consolidation de la coopération, c'est à voir Cameroun et Guinée équatoriale, page 12, et Maurice Kamto voter librement, c'est ce que Maurice Kamto dit aux Camerounais, sur la page 6 de l'Indépendant, et nouveau campus de l'EMIA, visite d'étape du MINDEF à Ekoum Abang, c'est à revoir dans les pages 8 et 9 de l'Indépendant, qui est dans les kiosques et sur la toile en ce moment. L'économie quotidienne est aussi au rendez-vous comme d'habitude. L'économie quotidienne qui titre présidentielle 2025, l'offre économique des candidats au scanner. Elle vient d'être évaluée dans une étude scientifique réalisée par le programme de formation en gestion de la politique économique de l'Université de Yaoundé 2. Dans cette édition spéciale, l'économie fait un zoom sur le programme économique des 12 prétendants au fauteuil présidentiel. C'est à voir sur la page 2 jusqu'à 11 de l'économie quotidienne qui profile tous ces 12 candidats sur sa publication. Parlons maintenant à présent d'autre chose. Parlons santé à présent avec Info Santé qui titre à Sibadem, la référence évacuation sanitaire vers la Turquie avec une offre de soins santé dans toutes les spécialités médicales. Le groupe à Sibadem est aujourd'hui, grâce à son réseau de 29 hôpitaux, 15 cliniques et plus de 50 bureaux de formation dans 33 pays à travers le monde, l'adresse idéale pour les procédures liées aux évacuations sanitaires vers la Turquie. Et aussi avec plus de 2,7 milliards d'investis en 2004 dans la lutte contre ces maladies, le Fonds mondial est sans doute la pièce maîtresse dans ce combat. Il parle en principe de la combat contre le paludisme et le VIH et aussi la tuberculose. Comme l'investissement du Fonds mondial fait beaucoup dans ces domaines, selon l'info santé de ce matin sur sa page 11. Et aussi, pays à faible revenu, taux de mortalité lié à l'alcool élevé, c'est la quintessence du rapport 2024 de l'Organisation mondiale de la santé. Vous pouvez lire ça sur la page 9 d'Info Santé qui est désormais sur les toiles en ce moment et dans les kiosques. Et c'est aussi avec Infos Santé qu'on met un thème et on clôture cette revue de presse aujourd'hui sur Cameroun Télévision. Mesdames et messieurs, on vous remercie pour votre aimable attention, pour la présentation. J'étais commercial Labanais. Je serai ici encore demain pour une autre édition de revue de presse sur Cameroun Radio et Télévision. Passez une agréable journée.